Some of the most explosive players ever had some of the shortest careers that we've seen. Unfortunately for us, we never got to see the full potential of these players as injuries derailed their career. These talents were truly like no other, and they were truly a marvel to watch. We may never see players as talented as them touch the NFL turf or grass again. Looking over and through the history of the NFL, there was a lot of players who had their careers derailed because of injury, which is really sad to think about. And unfortunately for this list, not everybody can make it, so I'm going to have to give a few honorable mentions to some studs. Firstly, he's going to go to Andrew Luck. Secondly, somebody I've already covered, Calvin Johnson. Thirdly, Michael Irvin. If his career was longer, he definitely would have been a lot better. And fourth, finally, last but not least, Tony Boselli. Tony Boselli was a monster at left tackle, and he deserves all the love that we can give him. Coming in here at my honorable mention, I'm going to have Priest Holmes here. Now, Priest Holmes was an absolute monster during his short prime that he had. If you don't know who he is, look him up. I promise you it's worth it. Priest Holmes was a small but big running back. At just 5'9", he was 213 pounds. He was crazy scary. For example, I'm 5'11" and only 160 pounds. I know that's not healthy, but I was just telling you. Holmes was really good in high school, but in college, not so much. Not really his fault, his injuries really hurt his college career. He would go undrafted and join the Baltimore Ravens in 1997. He wouldn't do anything in his rookie season as he was the fourth string running back, but he was an integral part of the special teams as the season went on. In his second season, he would start 13 games and rush for just over 1,000 yards and 7 touchdowns, while also being a solid receiver out of the backfield. In his third season, he would get injured and not be able to play the whole season, only starting 4 games and having 500 rushing yards. In his fourth season with the Ravens, he would get benched for all-pro running back Jamal Lewis. He would take his talents to Kansas City the next season. This is where Priest's career would take off. In just his first season with Kansas City, he would explode for almost 2,200 scrimmage yards and 10 touchdowns on 389 touches. This season would be his first being elected to a Pro Bowl and to a first-team All-Pro. He would have 2 seasons that were even better, highlighted by his 2002 season, where in just 14 games he would produce astronomical numbers, having nearly 2,300 yards and 24 touchdowns on 383 touches. Unfortunately for Holmes, his career would end early because of an injury to his spinal column. He would attempt to come back, but would re-injure his neck. One thing I'd like to mention about Priest Holmes is he is a Super Bowl winner. He did win the Super Bowl with the Ravens in the year 2000. Having a short career definitely has to suck. I can't really say for certain because I have no idea. But what I can tell you is it has to suck even more when your brother is still an active player in the NFL. Now, this isn't an active player as in today, but at the time of this happening, those 2 players were brothers and one remained active and the other one had a career-ending injury. The player I'm talking about is Sterling Sharpe, if you didn't already know. Sterling Sharpe was incredible. He was an absolute incredible athlete in high school and college, which caused him to get drafted 7th overall by the Green Bay Packers in 1988. He would make an immediate impact, catching 55 passes for 791 yards and a touchdown as well. His second season would be arguably his best, at minimum a top 3 season, catching 90 passes for 1,423 yards and 12 touchdowns. The most catches he had in one season was 112 in 1993. The most yards he had in one season was 1,461 in 1992. And the most touchdowns he had in one season was 18 in his final season of 1994. He would never officially win a Super Bowl as he would get injured right before the Packers would win one. He would have over 1,000 receiving yards in 5 of his 7 seasons, and he would be elected to 5 different Pro Bowls. He would also be elected to 3 first-team All-Pros. Unfortunately for us, we never got to see the full broad spectrum of Sterling Sharpe, and we never will, as a neck injury would end his career after just 7 seasons. While you could argue that he should be number 1, there's just no doubt that he's got to be here in your top 5 somewhere, and that player is going to be Bo Jackson. Having the shortest career on this list, it's Bo Jackson, and shortest career by the amount of years that he played. His pure talent and athleticism is what has him this high to begin with. Unfortunately, due to splitting backfields and injuries for the most part, the most rush yards he ever had in one season was 950 yards in 1989. He only played 4 seasons in the NFL, all of which were with the Oakland Raiders. Only being elected to 1 Pro Bowl in his career numbers don't really jump out on paper, but they're pretty solid nonetheless. Having 515 rush attempts for 2,782 yards and 16 touchdowns. Also having 40 catches for 352 yards and another 2 touchdowns. Well, I know I'm probably going to get hated on for having him this low, I just can't put him any higher based solely off of his talent. I also have to include what they actually did in the NFL on the NFL level. His career would be cut short on what felt like a normal tackle. He would have a career-ending hip injury. Maybe the greatest athlete we've ever seen, but still due to not really having stats when he was healthy, he can't be any higher on this list. Now, this is the only player on this list that didn't retire strictly because of a career-ending injury. He retired more or less because of a slew of injuries, and that player is going to be Kuechly. Hear me out before you guys get mad. I think you need to realize how great Kuechly was and how great he could have continued to be if he played into his 30s. Kuechly doesn't get nearly as much love as he should. Another interesting fact about Kuechly is that he was actually the youngest player on this list to retire, at least. He was 28 years old when he retired, which makes him younger than anybody else when they retired. The best linebacker of the 2010s, even better than Bobby Wagner and company, Kuechly never got the respect he deserves. Kuechly never had a season with less than 100 tackles, being elected to a Pro Bowl and an All-Pro team in all but one season, his rookie season. Kuechly would win Defensive Rookie of the Year and Defensive Player of the Year in the following season. Kuechly was a cornerstone for the Carolina Panthers. He would help lead them to a Super Bowl appearance in 2015 and to a 15-1 record that year. Kuechly is arguably the greatest interior linebacker ever, and to be honest, I can understand why you would have him at number 1. Luke is historically known for being able to tell you what play was coming before it even, finishing his career with 18 interceptions, 7 forced fumbles, 9 fumble recoveries, 1,100 tackles, and 75 tackles for loss. He would also be elected to 5 first-team All-Pros and 2 second-team All-Pros, along with 7 Pro Bowls, playing 8 seasons and retiring at the early age of 28. He stated head injuries are the reason why he retired early. Well, here we are. I could definitely see why you would have him at number 1, but for me personally, I have him number 2. I feel like there was just one person that was slightly better than him and had more potential and more talent. Now, this player is going to be Gale Sayers. Arguably the most talented player ever. It sucks so badly that injuries would completely derail his career. Looking at his career overall, he's the godfather of elusive backs. Previously, I stated that LaDainian Tomlinson was the inventor of it, but what I basically meant by that is that LaDainian Tomlinson is what the younger people nowadays look up to. But if you go back way further, Gale Sayers is definitely the inventor of that. He was so incredibly talented that even with his short career, some people consider him the greatest running back of all time. In his essentially 5 healthy seasons, he would rush for 4,900 yards and 39 touchdowns. He was also a good receiving back, having 112 catches for 1,300 yards and 9 more touchdowns as well. He would finish top 5 in MVP voting 4 times in his career. He would have over 1,000 scrimmage yards in 4 of his 5 healthy seasons. Unfortunately, multiple injuries, that being knee and ankle injuries, would completely derail his career. He would attempt 3 different times, with all resulting in the same thing, another injury. Gale Sayers is probably the biggest what if ever. Now, a lot of people are probably confused on who could I have above Gale Sayers, Bo Jackson, Luke Kuechly, and even Andrew Luck. It's like things like that. Now, in my personal opinion, I think this guy definitely deserves to be number 1, as he was probably the best player on this list, and that player is going to be Terrell Davis. The answer is just simple. The dude was absolutely incredible in just his 4 healthy seasons in the NFL. He was the 6th round draft pick and burst onto the scene in his rookie season, and he was absolutely insane, having nearly 1,500 scrimmage yards and 8 touchdowns on only 286 touches total. From here on out, he would only get better, having 1,800, 2,000, and 2,200 scrimmage yards over the next 3 seasons, also having 15 again, and 23 touchdowns in that span. In his 3 prime seasons, he would be absolutely nuclear. In 1996, he would win Offensive Player of the Year, finish 3rd in MVP voting, be elected to a Pro Bowl and a first-team All-Pro. In 97, he finished 2nd in Offensive Player of the Year voting, 3rd in MVP voting again, and again was elected to a Pro Bowl and first-team All-Pro. In 1998, which would be his best season of his career, he would win MVP, Offensive Player of the Year, and be elected to a Pro Bowl and first-team All-Pro. on his 2,000 rushing yards and 21 rushing touchdowns. He would also average 5.1 yards per carry and 125 rushing yards this season. He would never play more than 8 games in another season, and he would be a huge part of winning 2 Super Bowls for the Broncos in 97 and 98. Winning Super Bowl MVP in the 97 Super Bowl, he would have a shortened career due to multiple knee and leg injuries. I feel TD doesn't get enough love and respect for what he played through. The main questions after reviewing all of these players was, who is your favorite, who was the best, and who did I miss? What would have happened if all of these guys had full careers?